Good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about what is women's studies. So women's studies, it is an interdisciplinary subject. Students who study any subject of arts and science, they can opt to study women's studies. Okay, so we are going to see what are some of the definitions of women's studies. Okay, so it is an interdisciplinary study of women and also the society from the standpoint of women's experiences. Okay, another thing is this women's studies, it provides a counterpoint to all the historical established theories and in the various branches of human knowledge, and it also challenges the predominant male-centric understanding of social institutions and processes. So, in essence, we can say that women's studies is both perspective and also a discipline. It challenges the notions of objectivity of knowledge. And another common definition of this women's studies is, it is a body of literature that embodies the concern for women's equality and development. Not only that, it seeks to find explanations and remedies for this unequal position of women in the society. And also it sets research and analysis and inquires into the origin of these basic discriminative practices which is prevalent against women, and which has come to be concisely defined as women's studies. So it clearly explains that women's studies is not just knowing about why women are unequally treated, but also it creates a research atmosphere for the students to do research to find out why this discrimination is there in the society. The Women's Studies and Development Center, the University of Delhi, it has got its own definition. It defines as it is women's studies as an interdisciplinary approach to comprehend the social organization from the perspective of women. So we are seeing women's studies is the studies that we do from women's perspective. And it is a body of learning which directed concern for women equality and also for empowerment, and also it seeks to find explanation and remedies for this injustice and inequality which is there for women. So it is not only that, women's studies tries to find out from where this discrimination originated. So women's studies, it is contemporary practice enlarges its scope and it promotes a gender sensitization of men and women and communities. So it sensitizes the issues of women in the society. So women's studies is not just merely studies about women or data of women, but also it is a critical instrument for humanities and social science development in the context of social reality. And another thing, they say that it is a discipline. It is interdisciplinary, subject. That is, it is a discipline that seeks to access and challenges the axis of oppression in the society, which is based on class, race, caste and gender. And also it seeks to rediscover and experiences the knowledge of marginalized sections in the society, in history and the contemporary society. So women also come under this marginalized people. It seeks to understand the material and ideological structures of women oppression. And this requires an understanding of social, cultural, historical, political and economic aspects. So, by definition, women's studies is interdisciplinary. So, the UNESCO, Delhi in 1982 defines women's studies given the objectives of women's studies. So, we are going to see what are the objectives of women's studies. The first objective is to promote better and balanced understanding of our societies and how the society is responding to the process of change, then to contribute the pursuit of human rights. Women's rights comes under human rights. To assist both men and women in understanding, recognizing and giving due importance to the roles actually played by women and men. Then also one of the other objectives is to investigate the causes of disparity, analyzing structural factors in addition to attitudinal and cultural factors. And there's another, to empower women in their struggle for equality, for an effective presence in all areas of society and development. Then another objective is to render invisible women visible, in particular the women of the most underprivileged strata. So these are the objectives which were put forth by the UNESCO Delhi on October 1982. So the components of women's studies, main thing is this women's studies, it contributes to social process and women's perception of their lives and broader social reality and their struggles and aspirations. It's all, this is one of the content of women's studies is to study about the struggle and aspirations of women. Then another component is roots and structure of inequality that lead to this marginalization, invisibility and exclusion of women from the scope, approaches and conceptual frameworks of the most intellectual inquiry and social action. So women's studies is not narrowly defined as just studying about women, studying about the data of women or just giving the information of women, but this women's studies on the whole viewed as a critical instrument for social and academic development. Thank you, students.